Hi there, I'm Rob Schmidt, and you're in the Strategy Room. Federal Election Commissioner Ann Ravel is resigning from her position before her term ends. The Democrat sent a letter of resignation to President Trump, citing her frustration with gridlock within that department. Now, it's customary for Senate Democrats to nominate her replacement, but by law, the president does make this decision. Here to discuss what this means for the future of elections, our senior lobbyist for the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Sarah Badawi, and Vice President of the Manhattan Republican Party, Brian Morgenstern. Thanks, guys, so much for coming in here and joining us today. Brian, we'll start here with you. The panel can't have more than 3 members of any political party. The current commission already has 3 Republicans. The thinking is the president might try and get into this and make that decision because he can, even though tradition would have it that the Democrats would make the decision. Do you think Donald Trump might try to get in there and maybe try and find a Democrat that's middle ground or make his own decision of some kind?
Well, he's got a choice to make. I don't know that they've, this is sort of a new story. I don't know that they've made up their mind about how to approach this. I think there are 2 competing interests, though. And one is trying to reshape the commission, trying to push a policy agenda, having sort of a policy litmus test for whomever they nominate. The other is preserving the tradition of each party picking their own commissioners. And I'm just not sure which direction they'll go in there because, you've seen the fallout from Harry Reid changing Senate procedures for confirming people. Now the Republicans taking advantage of them. So I think the White House will be cognizant of the fact that if they change course, if they change tradition, it could come back to bite them in a Democratic administration. Now, maybe they choose the policy goal over tradition, or they kind of cover their flank by just allowing the Senate Democrats to maintain the status quo. I'm just not sure which direction they're going to go in. It could go either way.
Sarah, I wanted to get your side on this too. What do you think Mr. Trump would do in this situation?
Sure. Well, I think it's interesting that she's stepping down just 2 months shy of the end of her tenure. But one thing we can look back to is Donald Trump campaigned on getting big money out of politics and also said he was very proud of the fact that he self-funded his campaign. So his supporters have an opportunity here to see him do something that makes good on one of those campaign promises by appointing somebody who is more on the side of enforcement when it comes down to this particular commission. It seemed to be a core principle that he campaigned on, so this is an opportunity for him to not betray his voters. However, we'll see what happens. I don't know that there's any reason to believe he'll follow tradition, and certainly with a lot of his other nominations, he's betrayed his campaign promises by appointing people from Wall Street and folks that are not representative of hardworking families in this country. But this is his opportunity to maybe keep one of the promises he campaigned on.
Yeah, drain the swamp. Everybody loved drain the swamp. Brian, it's the Federal Election Commission. Let's talk about the powers that this has. From what I've read, it's been a relatively unimpactful commission. It hasn't done a lot of the things I think it's there to do.
Well, it's had gridlock because each party's commissioners have been wanting to investigate campaigns of the other party, and neither party is going to allow the other one to use it as sort of a witch hunting mechanism. And for sort of free marketers, people who believe in freedom of speech and think that campaign speech and core political speech should be as the most free speech, they don't really want the Federal Election Commission meddling in campaigns. They want voters to be the ultimate arbiters, not a panel of appointed bureaucrats. And so the conservative commissioners have really been maintaining the line there in sort of stopping the commission from getting involved, and so that is sort of a victory, for the free speech side of things, for the conservative side of things. And so whether they change course and appoint a different commissioner, a more conservative commissioner, either way, it's either going to continue to not do anything, or it will affirmatively take policy steps in the direction of less interference, I think.
And Sarah, finally, we'll go to you. I always saw drain the swamp as kind of one of those phrases that he had that really had no political affiliation. It was one of those things that I think people on both sides really could get behind, and it left him, I think, kind of at odds with traditional politicians on both sides of the aisle. If he really does want to drain the swamp, what kind of candidate do you think he should put in there?
Well, I think the bottom line is simple. Nobody who voted for Donald Trump voted for him to let corporations and billionaires run roughshod over our democracy. And the first place that starts is with enforcement of our campaign finance laws that make every politician, Republican or Democrat, play by the rules. We know that voters overwhelmingly want to see Citizens United reversed, and they also want to see these regulations around transparency and disclosure and getting dark money out of our politics as a very popular issue. So I think this is an important moment for him to make good on that, rather broad idea of draining the swamp and taking this moment to work with both parties to appoint somebody who is serious about enforcement of the FEC regulations.
Yeah, it certainly seems like these elections are bought and paid for every time we have one. So much money. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. For complete political coverage, stay right here at foxnews.com. I'm Rob Schmidt. Thanks for watching.